excuse the hat, with my new ball patch. I'm getting a little bit burnt, so hence the hat. So hope you're all well, and again welcome back to West Coffco. Show a quick video now. Well, I'll say quick. There was a lot of work involved in it, but I had a couple of problems with my phone and a few other bits and pieces. Needless to say, I dropped it in the pond. So then by the time I'd got it sorted, got it drained out, literally dried out as well because I couldn't get the connections to charge it. And if anybody knows, if anybody's experienced it, when you try and charge up your phone after, it throws an alarm up and says, you know, moisture, you can't charge it, simple as that. So then I bought one of them flat ones that you stick on it, with like a casing on it, and the casing was too thick, so it wouldn't. The casing I got on it was too thick, so I had to set the casing off, put it back on, blah 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 blah. Anyway, phone's back up and running, because I'm adamant I ain't going to go and buy another phone. Simple as that. So that's alright, this one. So what you would have missed would have been the drain out, the cleaning, preparation, and the other bits and pieces. So it's been over a course of like 4 days, but the video's congested into about it's probably congested into about 8 minutes. So have that video first, and then I've got a bit of a rant, so I'll explain in a minute. Right, so good afternoon. So I'm at another customer's house today. Cut a long story short, they had a problem with the pond a couple of weeks ago. Not enough oxygen in and fish struggling. So we're now putting an emergency pump in to get them up and running. And they've got 2 ponds. One pond they were just not doing anything with it at all, and they got a death can on it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to call in now to see the customer. I'm going to show you where we are with it, and I'm going to show you what the plans are going to be in the next couple of weeks. So I'll get back to you in a minute. Right, so I'm around the back of the customer's house now, and I'll show you what we were talking about. So first of all, I've had to come around and that's died straight away, so we've had to give that a filter clean. So as you can see, it's a bit of a death can. That's the only filtration that's in here, and then there's a pump at the back. Now, what I said was, this needed to come back into play, and it was green, got all lilies in it. In fact, the lilies are there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this pond back into play. So basically what will happen is, we're going to take the death can, we'll take that and put that inside. So we're going to drill a couple of holes down here. Pump's going to sit down the bottom here somewhere, and then what will happen is the pump will go into the death can, out of the death can, around the back, and then I'm going to install a backy shower over there somewhere. Once we've done that, then we can then bring this pond back into play, which will then come down this new waterfall that's not been used in a number of years. That can then crash down here. We can have goldfish and everything in here. You can even have all sorts of plants in there, and we'll turn this into a bog filter. Nice, simple, easy win, does exactly what it says on the tin. So that's what you're going to look at. So what we're going to do then is we're going to have a look at what we've got now, get this pump installed, so that's out of the way, and then we'll catch you later. Okay, so good afternoon. So I'm back now with Bill and Mavis. I didn't really have much chance doing much videoing, to be honest with you. Dropped my phone in the pond, which didn't really get down too well, and then it took ages to get it to charge up properly, and then by the time I got it sorted, I give up in the end. So what we did was we installed a backy shower, we installed a 10,000 variable in the bottom. So I'll show you where we are now. Bill's here now, getting all nice and comfy, so I'll show you what we've got done. Right, what we've done is we've installed a backy shower on there, and that's full of pummies. Inside there we've changed the pressure filter that ain't fit for purpose. We've got it in there temporary, because I need to see the other one. I'll explain to that to you in a minute. We've now got a beautiful overflow here now, as you can see. That's absolutely phenomenal, that is. So we've got that. We've currently got fish in the bottom of here now with about, how many frogs do you reckon, Bill?
12.
About 12. There's about 12 frogs in here now, and you can see the water's still murky. The reason for that is obviously we've taken out the leaders for the time being. They're going in baskets and they're going to go back in, so obviously that's what that's about. And you can see the waterfall's working really well. So the prime pump is in here, which is obviously is going to be plants and everything else. This will be the bog filter. It comes out, goes into the filter at the back, comes through the backy shower. From the backy shower then comes into this pond up here, which is approximately 2,500 litres, then cascades down back into the bog filter. And what we've done as well, I'll just quickly show you what we're around here. So what we've done from a temporary point of view is we've installed, so what we've done as well from a temporary point of view, we've installed the pressure filter there, which is a 15,000 Pontiac, and then what we've done is put in there to give us a bit of a flow there. So what that's going to do now, so okay, the app keeps through. So what that's going to do then is going to create a flow that goes all the way around, but not only that, it'll seed that death can. It'll seed it. So then all we do then is in 6 weeks time we take that out from there, we put it in there, and then we get rid of the one that's in there and just do that. But you can see backy shower's doing really well, plenty of flow in here. So yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. So obviously this is basically a quick catch up, and I do apologise. But like I said, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. We had to clean out the entire pond. So what we did the initial bog filter. We thought we was going to be alright with that. And then we just weren't having no luck, couldn't get it done. And then we decided we needed to empty the pond. So we decided empty this completely, and there was about 18 inches of nasties in the bottom. So we had to get all that out yesterday, hoover it, get it all spotlessly clean. But I left that, so that was still dirty in there. So by the time we got this filled back up and then got that pump back up, guess where that dirty water went? Straight back in here. So that's why we've got that filter back up and running in there. This will take a couple of days now, this will start clearing, it'll start clear from the top and go downwards. So that's pretty good. So like I said, we had about 2 hours in here trying to clean it out yesterday and tried to do the best we could. Water can still go up a little bit higher. And then obviously we'll have more cascading over there, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to leave this video at this. I'm sorry it's a quick video, but it's just a quick one on Bill and Mavis Pond, which is what it was all about in the first place. Yeah, another happy customer, so win-win. So be good, be nice to your family. I'll see you soon. Okay, so hope you enjoyed that video. I've got a bit of a rant, to be honest with you. I'm getting really concerned at the moment. I'm getting a little bit concerned about stuff that's going on at the moment, stuff I'm hearing about, and stories that I'm hearing about pond builds, about stuff that's not being delivered, about stuff that's making commitments that ain't happening, stuff like that. So my first one is one of my mates, which is Daz Pal. You'll know previously I put a video up of trying to repair the carnage that was done there, which was an absolute disgrace, for want of a better word. And the gentleman responsible was a gentleman called Scott, who specialises in sleeper pond builds. To be honest with you, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself. It's as simple as that. But now the problem is, so obviously, as you know, I went over and I did a lot of repairs, setups and everything else. One thing we never checked was obviously the fiberglass, because we assumed the fiberglass was okay. To cut a long story short, what's basically happened now is the bottom of the fiberglass under pressure opens up away from the bottom drain. That's what we were assuming anyway, because when he was walking on it, it was floating. And what we think is when the pressure goes in there, the pressure goes in and pushes the fiberglass. And the trouble is now, so what I've done is I've lent him an emergency 2-metre show that. We set up a RP Aquatics pond reactor. I think it was only good for a couple of weeks. Once it was done, it'd be sorted. But to add insult to injury now, Daz is still waiting, to the extent now where Daz has now decided to say enough's enough, which for me is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I'll be honest with you, I mean, normally at this stage I'll be swearing my head off in just pure anger, because the point I'm trying to make is there are too many unscrupulous people out there that take the cash off you and then basically do a shit job, or they take the stuff off you, or take the money off you, and then don't deliver what they say they're going to deliver. Now, I'm going to use some very, very careful wording. However, you know, if somebody offers you a product or tries to sell you a product, and that product doesn't appear, that's fraud. Simple as that. And there are other, you know, if you go onto Google and ask for the definition of fraud, Google will tell you quite clearly what the definition of fraud is. And to be fair, you know, I can't emphasise enough that if people are asking for cash, why are they asking for cash? Because if a bona fide business, 100% bona fide business, then as far as I'm concerned, they should have some credibility, and they should have the ability for you to pay at least £1 on card, because then you'll have the ability to do a chargeback. That's the thing, or basically. So you are guaranteed by your bank that if you pay £1 for something on their card, whether it be a credit card, a debit card, or anything like that, you are covered. You are covered by that bank, and that bank will try, or I don't know what the actual definition is. They will attempt to get your money back. £1. So if something costs you 11,000 quid, and you pay £1 on your card as a deposit, or 100 quid as a deposit, I think, what's the deposit now? 10%. So 10% of 11,000 is what, 1,100 quid? So if you pay 1,100 quid on your card, there you go. In theory, the bank should chase that money and sort it all out for you. So, you know, there's pond builds out there at the moment, and I've seen 2 or 3 at the moment, which are absolutely fucking shoddy. It's an absolute joke. Okay? It should be knocked down, and the person that's built it should be buried in there with it. That's my personal opinion. It's not that for me. There are people out there which are not helping the current situation within the current hobbyist dealer relationship, or hobbyist pond builder relationship. That relationship should be an ambient relationship. So there should be, you know, a person coming to build your pond should be able to give you all the feedback and all the knowledge for what they need to do to make your pond where it needs to be, to give you your dream in your back garden. That's what it should be about. At Land Rover, we used to call dreams on drives. That's what we used to call it, dreams on drives. And the amount of money that people are paying for ponds, it should be dreams in the back garden. Quite plain and simple. So, for me, what I would urge anybody to do, is if you've got something that's going to be built, pay something on a card. If they won't accept card, don't deal with them. Don't deal with them. It's as simple as that. Because you'll pay all the cash. You'll have a problem. You've got no comeback. I mean, I've heard there's a guy called Carl. I'm not going to mention all full names, and I'm not going to cause any untoward issues. Carl had a pond built, and to cut a long story short, it weren't to the expectations of Carl's expectations. So, and he's had problems, and other people have had to go in and try and sort these problems, because the person concerned that was involved in building the pond said there wasn't an issue. I mean, all other experts, when I say experts, so for argument's sake, if you've got somebody that makes and builds drums, you would have thought somewhere along the line they would have the skills and the abilities to be able to explain, well, this drum does this, or this filter does this, or this pump does this, and this is what the expectations are, and this is what the recommendations are. blah 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 blah. And that's the way that it should go. So, and that's not, and that hasn't happened in this one case, and then other people have had to go in, and he's still got problems now. And it's his dream. It's, Blake's about to retire. He's put basically everything financially into a pond, and it's like ain't fit for purpose. So he's still fighting to get things right. There's another guy quite recently, and there's videos out there now, and there's people having a rant about it. Of somebody that's gone and built a pond out of, you can't even call them breeze blocks. You might as well have called them fiberglass, polystyrene blocks, if you like. So I've never seen the way that this was built. I've never seen a skilled person do this. So if you build a wall if you build a pond out of blocks and you build it to a new wall, you would put ties into that existing wall to be able to secure that pond to that wall. It ain't rocket science. People talk about ponds being built this way, ponds being built that way. No, there is something called the bulge effect, which every single person that knows about ponds, seen ponds and experienced ponds will know exactly what the bulge effect is. So in layman's terms, water, like anything, has a mass. That mass is more heavier at the bottom than it is at the top. So basically you have a column and then you create a bulge effect. So you'll see that on swimming pools and stuff like that, and you'll see the bulge effect. To get round that bulge effect, you either strengthen it by pouring a concrete collar in, and then making sure that concrete collar has a lot of strength within that collar, so using rebar or using stainless steel pipes or whatever else there is that you can find, or gridding or everything. There has to be the element of strength within that collar to be able to help and assist with the bulge effect. Me personally, if a pond is being built, I'll be digging 2 foot down, 24 inches, and then I'd be putting in 18 inches of concrete through the bottom drain. That's what I'll be looking to do personally. And then I've then got 6 to 8 inches of bulge effect. But then I'll be putting a collar around the bottom of it, then I'll be blocking it up. One thing I would never do is I would never put blocks upward. It's just something I wouldn't do personally. I've seen ponds being built with blocks upright. I've got pond one in the koi house that was physically built with blocks on the side. And Dazza from Dazza's Koi Farm, up in Nottingham, absolutely fantastic bloke. All seasons landscaping, and he built my pond out of blocks, and he did it at the top. But as he was building it, and it was built to within the confines of the area that was set out, it was all locked in place to prevent anything from doing this or doing this. But again, bulge effect was there, and the beauty of taking it down lower was the soil contained that bulge effect, and that was what it was all about. And I've seen sleeper ponds, even now I've seen sleeper ponds where the bottom part, if you're looking at it, it's either bowed or it's pushing out at the back. So little tiny things like that happen, which can be a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. So with regards to ponds, some people need to know what they're doing, to be fair. So I think that pretty much covers that around pond builds and stuff like that. And as you can see, I'm not mentioning any names because I don't think it needs it. I think the people concerned, need to have, maybe go and have a little bit more experience in training, maybe going on an ELS course or something like that, a building, so they can get an understanding of structures. Because that's what it is. It's a structure. It's a structure that has to contain strength. And somebody needs to understand that from a physics point of view. And this one pond, like I said, it was built out of things like thermal blocks, I think it was. And literally the whole thing is pushed away from the back wall. There's no toys in there or anything like that. It was an absolute disgrace, And I hope you don't mind. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning this. It does come Valentine or whatever operatives, Valentine Kings, I think it's called. So I hope you don't mind me mentioning that. But the bloke put all his savings into this pond, and some scum sucking shitbag went in and built it, completely messed it up. Absolute cabbage. And fair play, there's somebody else now that's gone in there that's going to help put it right, and you know, and that's what it should be about. It's not what it should be about. It's nice that the community itself are supporting each other in some shape or form. I mean, I'm doing a lot of stuff at the moment for the slightly aged community within my area. So there are a number of people that are, you know, in the late 70s, 60s and 70s. They've got ponds that have enjoyed them for a long time. Never had a problem with them at all. And obviously the last couple of years, everybody seems to be having problems. And you know, it's nice that we can go over and we can help and we can advise. But I can tell you now, in no uncertain circumstances, and anybody can contact, well, they can't necessarily contact them, but I'm hoping the people that I've built the ponds for obviously do watch my videos. I never charge labour for doing it. I just go, do it, and get out. Done. Well, say, get out. Currently, Don's turning around and saying, I'm starting to get sick of seeing you now. I mean, that's fair enough. And the more you get sick of seeing me, the more that we can get your pond sorted, and the more you'll be more confident in what we do. You know, so that's a person where we turned it round from somebody that completely didn't trust anybody at all to somebody now that's, you know, they can turn around and say, I'm sick of seeing you, jokingly and enjoying it, and that's what it should be about for me. But the other one that I want to discuss with you as well, and again, you know, all ties in together because it's the same thing, and that's about quarantine, and you know, people that say they're doing the proper quarantine and they're not, which is a bit naughty, to be fair. And again, I'm not going to mention any names, but I am seeing now, or hearing stuff that's going on now, where some people's quarantine is less than 24 hours. And that's bad, so what I'm going to suggest is, along with that, is, you know, and you as customers and friends of the community and hobbyists and you know, families that want to give somebody birthday presents and Christmas presents that are in the water, you know, the pond puppies and all that, I urge you to go to reputable places to get your puppies, your pond puppies. The simple reason is, and what I'm worried about now, and I am quite worried about this, is, you know, everybody has a certification or a license to be able to sell pond pets. 5 stars, 4 stars. I'm currently talking to the council at the moment because I don't think or don't believe that the way they do their ratings at the moment are the right way to go. And I'm sitting down with a team of 15 people, I think it is, back end of August, from Staffordshire and Gloucester Council, going together on a training type course and stuff like that, to discuss, you know, the format of things like 5 stars, 4 stars and 3 stars. Because if you think about it realistically, as long as you hit the criteria and you hit all questions, and you've been involved with the council for 12 months and you've got all your paperwork and everything else, they'll give you 5 stars. But there's a difference between, you know, a highly skilled multi-million-pound company that should get 5 stars, 100%, because they should have training packages, they should have training logs, they should have work element sheets, they should have that kind of thing, and all the documentation should be provable or identifiable. All the fish, there should be accountability, traceability, and it should all be documented. That's something that I believe personally should be 5 stars. No arguments and over that. So if you think about it from a food standard point of view, you know, the restaurants and the takeaways and stuff like that, they get 5 stars, and you know, the health and safety go out and they go and do spot checks, and they go and do audits and stuff like that. And then you get a rating based on your standards, your husbandry, not husbandry, your cleaning and stuff like that in the catering trade. And obviously some of the experiences I've got from doing butchery, that gives me the information and the knowledge of what the council look for within the food standards, if that makes sense. So from a pet shop point of view, for me there should be a 5, a 3, and a 5, a 4 and a 3 standard for me. And there should be a standard that's set that says if you maintain or you create this and this, and you get this in place, and you've got this standard, then it should be 5 stars. Out rocking science. And then for you as the hobbyist, you know, okay, you pay a bit more of a premium, but you know that you're going to somewhere that's of a high standard, that does exactly what it says on the tin. The fish have got a high turnover, and what I mean by that is, I mean, I'll give you an example. So we had 6 I-2s coming. They were advertised. 6 I-2s went straight out literally within the quarantine period being completed, which I think on those was around 6.5 weeks, 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. So we knew those fish would come straight in and they'd go straight out. And they, you know, they were sold at what I would class here at Westcroft Coy, I would class as a premium. Because they went out for around 475 and they were 53, 54 cm Marisol I-2s. So for me, that's the kind of price that I would be setting here at Westcroft Coy. If you're in somewhere else and you paid, you wanted the same Marisol fish with the same size, you'd be paying twice that, I would have thought. I did see one which was in a we'll call it a superstore if you like. It was in a superstore, advertised online. Same breeder, same size, pretty much the same type of markings. And that was 1400 cut. So it was quite shocking that. I keep digressing, so I apologise, and I keep bouncing forwards and backwards and up and down, and that's because I'm trying to do the video without doing any editing, if that makes sense. So, for a 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star point of view, that's what it should be. And somebody's selling something at 1400 quid that's a superstore, you know, they've got the 5 stars. You know, then you've got, if you like, your business outlets. So, I'm trying to give you an example. Your places that have everything in place, that have all the paperwork, all the documentation, all the fish are in fantastic health, you know, all the documentation produced, where they came in, when they got out, traceability, accountability and all that, but not quite a superstore, then that would still be classed as a 5-star, if you like, and it would be red ringed as a 5-star. However, that 5-star would be checked on a regular basis. So I think 5 stars at the moment, I think licence is valid for, I think it's 3 years, and I think a 4-star is 2 years. And the council can come out any time within that, as a structural business. They can come out, do a spot check anytime. But then you get a problem where you've got people like myself. So, and I'll just use as an example. So we've got, this hasn't come from me, this has come from customers, for a facility that is of a good standard. I'll set that on the chin and go, thank you very much. And I'm constantly improving all the time. So there's always something changing all the time. I'm doing something all the time to improve it, to make it better. So then you look at realistically, so what kind of a star would I get? So theoretically, should I have maybe a 4.5 star, 4.5 star, maybe a 4 3/4 star, that kind of thing? Should I get 5 stars? Should that be justified? You know, and that should be that's what we as hobbyists and dealers should be aspiring to be, is getting to that 5-star. The thing is, at the moment, because it's basically a tick box, you know, you could have somebody that's got a standard as good as a superstore, that'll get a 5-star, that, you know, it's in the back garden, and then somebody could be selling out of buckets and they're manipulating the numbers and they're manipulating the sizes and shapes and documentation and everything else. Should they get 5 star? Or should they be recognised as a 4 star? Or is it the fact that the council and the way that they do their 5 star ratings, is it because it's so high that, you know, everybody, as soon as you get this, you get a 5 star? So does that mean everybody's the best of the best of the best? Does that mean everybody should be the same as a superstore? But then there's an argument that says, oh, superstores, do they have enough training in place to be able to facilitate that 5 stars as well? And that's another argument. And then council should come, in my belief, council should come a minimum of once every 12 months. Come and do an assessment at the same time. Come and do some feedback. Come and do some training if it's needed. You know, a bit of coaching, a bit of educational stuff, you know, that kind of thing. Then that should be right, in my opinion. And my opinion, to be fair, so obviously I've got a lot of back skills, or when I say back skills, a lot of problem solving abilities. So as a result of that, you know, all can do bits and pieces like that. But like I said, I'm really concerned at the moment about the stuff that's going on, about people that are, you know, quarantining for less than 48 hours and selling fish. And then, you know, that, or I would say, you know, I mean, I've heard people that are doing finance on fish. I don't even understand how a company out there would give or would offer finance on live animals. I don't get it. I don't understand that. I don't even know if it's whether it comes under the Sales of Goods Act or stuff like that. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. But like I said, I'm concerned that there's dealers out there. You know, there's been issues previously where, you know, there's been a bacterial outbreak in some shape or form that's transposed to other people's ponds, where they've had wipeouts, complete wipeouts. You know, I heard a story of somebody quite recently that bought some fish from a dealer that was advertising that they were in one place and saying that they were in that place, but then finding out that dealer isn't in that place, if that makes sense. And then that dealer then has sold fish to another place or to another person on the back of that, if you like. And that bloke's lost 22 fish. I heard it on a message a couple of days ago. It's lost 22 fish. Can I help? And it's like, no, not really. It's not. You know, it's something I can't. You know, I'm not going to go in and I'm going to sort somebody else's problem out. It's that person's responsibility to go and identify that. And this is where it gets important about dealers and 5 stars and stuff like that. So I should be able to. So if somebody was to come to me and say, I've got a fish, it's got green monkey disease. It's a fish that's come from you, and I had it 3 weeks ago. So, okay, so a person comes round, we go through the log. So that fish was bought from Uncle Sam. It was from Peter Piper's breeding program in Indonesia, and that was identified. I'm just using examples on this. You know, 99.999% of the fish that anybody gets from Japan come from Japan. So I'm just using that as an example. So, customer would come to me and say, I've got green monkey disease and it's possibly come from you. Okay, that's the day they come from. So that's the breeder. It came on that shipment. It came on that date. It went in that tank. It had that quarantine period, and it's all documented. There you go. So you've got all your reaction plan. And that was the microscope video and the date and the time and the identification of that was the fish that was microscoped, or that was the pond where that fish had been scraped from. Because the requirement's 3 scrapes minimum. So you know, it's 3 fish, 3 scrapes, simple as that. So you know, you've got the video. It's gone, okay, look, there's the video. So we're showing you the video now, and oh look, we've got pink chicken, so I can see a pink chicken there. So as you can see, yes, but I haven't got green monkey disease. I've got this, or I've got that. Now, you know, if I'm a dealer, that should be clear. you might find a fluke. Go on. We've all had that discussion previously, and it's gone on and it's gone on and it's gone on, and we've done it to death now. You cannot eradicate flukes. It doesn't matter where you are. You could have a perfect environment, and that environment is unique. You'll still get flukes in there. They'll still mysteriously appear. And sometimes you can eradicate flukes, and then guess what? Cost you repairs. So, you know, it's one of those. So this person's got green monkey disease. So the traceability and the accountability, I can go, it was that breeder, it was that shipment, it was that date, it was that pond. I've got no issues within that pond. So because I've got no issues in that pond, there's a chance that I haven't given you green monkey disease. So that's the way that's where your accountability and your traceability should come. So then I would turn around and say, well, okay, let's do a scrape on this, or let's do a scrape on that. But then that customer might turn around and say, I forgot to tell you, I bought this fish from here after I bought yours. And again, if you remember, there was a video I put out about not selling fish in the winter. So again, that ties into this, because normally it's the last person or it's the last dealer that you bought fish off that's potentially giving that problem, even though it might not necessarily be. Now I always turn around and say to customers, and again, it's customer's choice. What a customer does is what a customer does. So I always say to a customer, the council stipulates that the certificate of rating should be visible to anyone, anywhere, at any time. That's where it should be visible. So some people have it in a shop, some people have it on a wall. I think we've got it in 6 different places where we've just done it, so it's demonstrated that we've got our license available. Some people have got a CFAS license. So if you've got your, if you've got your farms, they'll have something called a CFAS license. So that CFAS license will be tied in to that company. So if a CFAS license is licensed to Fred Bloggs at Barney and Wilmer's Company Limited, Barney and Wilmer Street, Barney. So that license will be tied in to that company, that address. So you could tie that in to Company House to identify that company that would then tie in together, and that's how a CFAS license works. What you can't have is if a company has no longer exists or no longer exists via Company House, that CFAS license don't exist either, because the company that it was originally with now no longer exists. So that license no longer exists either. So in theory, if that person is saying, I've got a pet shop license and it's gone, a pet shop, that your license don't exist. If somebody turns around and says, I've got a CFAS license, and that company don't exist anymore, that CFAS license don't exist. So you can't turn around and say, I've got a Barney and Wilmer license from here. Look, see, I've got my license. Don't exist. It's as simple as that. So you need to start thinking about protecting yourself from a realistic point of view, from you, the customer, and protecting you, the customer. That's what it should be about. So always ask for, any time that you go to any dealer. I mean, I always turn around and say whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. If you've got a dealer, you're happy with that dealer, you're comfortable with that dealer, stick with that dealer. If a dealer's offering you a price on something and you don't think that price meets your expectations, ask that dealer if you can do a deal. Ask that dealer, can I see your license? He should have his license available. If somebody turns around and says, I'm going down to Winter Creations Koi Farm down in Lumberjack Street, California, okay, and he wants a purple achiever with green gills that's got a monkey sitting on top of it holding a rein, check his CFAS license, see if he's got a CFAS license. Check to see, get the proper reviews, get an understanding of it. Protect yourself as a customer. That's that's what you should be doing. You'll be doing it with life insurance. You'll be making sure you're covered with that. You'll be going to a bank you'll be checking that. You'll be going to get yourself furniture. You know, you'd be going to somewhere reputable. You wouldn't go to Granny Smith's tree down the garden and say, I'll have a bucket because I want to sit on it. But he's going, yeah, okay. These buckets are the thickest buckets you can ever get in your entire life, and it's this money. Okay, you get back, you sit on the bucket cracks, and then you find out it's the thinnest bucket that anybody's ever produced because they want to make it really, really cheap. Simple things like that. So, 3 main rules. If you're going out and you're going to be buying your pond puppies that are going to give you, where possible, the best quality that you can get. Okay, so 3 rules. Rule 1. Always make sure that person's got a licence. Don't matter what kind of licence it is, but make sure they've got a licence. Because if they ain't got a licence and they're just selling at the back garden for the sake of going in the back garden, how do you know all the checks have been done? How do you know you're not going to bring in an issue from another one? Rule number 2, which goes into the back of the conversation I've just had. Always have a quarantine facility where possible. Doesn't need to be massive, just needs to be big enough for you to be able to quarantine those fish for a couple of weeks to see if anything comes out in any shape or form. You don't need to heat ramp or anything like that. You just look for any telltale signs over the first 2 weeks. An example, right, is a bacterial issue. If you buy a fish and you think, okay, that mouth's got a little tiny bit of a mark on it, but I've got a discount on it because I've just saved myself 30 quid. Yeah, I bought it for a £5. 7 days time off, its fat mouth's gone. You know that there's a bacterial issue, or you know there's something that's created. And sometimes trying to treat something like that just ain't worth it. So, you know, you need to adapt. So, okay, I've got pigeons doing the tap on the top. So, you know, sometimes it ain't worth it. So, having a quarantine protects your prized pond puppies that are, you know, your enjoyment. You've protected them. If you're going to a reputable dealer, my advice to you would be, buy the stuff that's coming out of quarantine. Literally within the first couple of days of them being coming out of quarantine. Because you should be able to go any time and turn around and say, I'd like to have a look at these fish in here. They should have proper quarantine protocols. They should be set in place. And if they've got the, you know, if they've got those skills and abilities, it will be available, and you'll be able to see what's going on. Well, the fish are just coming out of quarantine. If you haven't got a quarantine facility yourself, buy the fish that are just coming out of quarantine. Look at the documentation that they've done on that quarantine to give you an idea. I'm in 4 or 5 places within facility here. We have whiteboards, we have black flipboards, we'll paper documentation in there. There's water parameters, salinity, filter cleans, water changes, treatments, what dosage that treatment was, what scrapes you had, what the date of the scrape was, if there was any treatments in there as a result of that, what was the parasite. All that documentation should be there, so you've taken that problem straight away. And to be fair, you know, if a dealer's worth half his salt and he's got he's got stuff in quarantine there, he's got getting ready to come out, he'd want to sell those because they'd literally come in and gone straight out. So he'll have the ability to then to do what they call flip and drop. Flip and drop, is it called flip and drop? I can't remember what it's called now. But basically what it is, you know, fish in 6 weeks, done and out, whatever that's called. I mean, one of the worst things that I find, and I hate it, is, you know, you'll get 50 fish in from I don't know, from the hat. So I've been to that hat and I bought that hat and I bought 50 fish from her. Put them in quarantine. I've sold 25 of them, but now I've got 25 sitting in sales vats. While they're sitting in sales vats, you've got them set at a price. They're still being fed, they're still being water changed, they're still being treated where needed. We have something here called Scrap Day Friday. So every Friday we do scrapes. The customers do like to come and they like to see them scrapes, mainly for, not necessarily because they want to see what's on the scrape, but they want to see how I do the scrape, so they can get that kind of ability. So here at Westcroft Core we have something called work element sheet. The work element sheet shows you in detail how you do something. So it's something that that I used to do at Land Rover. So it was some skills that we had there, and they were basically think of it as a Haynes manual, if you like. So it would show you, this is a card, this is a bowl, this is a net. They'd be pictured, and then you'd have a how, what, and a what. And then within that how, what, and the why, you'd explain what you're doing, how you're doing it. More importantly, the why. So what was the implication? If I don't do this, what's the implications of not doing it? And that should be documented. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm actually sitting down with the council and showing them and giving them that kind of training, if you like, call it training. I don't know whether you want to call it training. Like I said, I've been invited, so we'll see what happens there. If I can get a video done there, I will. So, going through all the protections, so you've got reputable dealer, quarantine where needed. If you haven't got quarantine, get the fish when they're coming out of quarantine at that dealer's facility. That's the best way to do that. Make sure it's documented. Okay. The third one really for me is trust. That's what it should be. You should have the ability to trust the dealer that you're dealing with. I'm not comfortable. Look, there's some fantastic dealers out there that will do koi auctions, and they're, and fair play to them. I won't. I'm not keen on doing auctions, but that auction you will have the ability to be able to pay by card. You'll have the ability to pay by whatever other facility that they offer. But you've seen that fish on a video. You know what I mean? It's not like you've seen that fish close up. And you're going to start seeing more and more people now that are going to be doing auctions to sell their fish on WhatsApp or Tintagram or Tinder. I don't know what it is. Red Group or Red Tide or whatever it is. All the different, Telegram and all those. They're doing auctions. So yeah, it's slightly different to the one because I'm going to be doing an auction for Brendan for Dementia UK, and that's slightly different because we know that that's all going to dementia. We know where the fish come from. We've got the traceability, we've got the accountability. Brendan's only ever had fish from me for those main tanks down the bottom. He's had some phenomenal growth out of them, and we know they're all documented, and that documentation's there. So you can look at those fish, you can look at those videos, and you're doing your little bit for Dementia UK as well. So that's slightly different. But I'm uncomfortable with auctions. I'm uncomfortable with them, as simple as that. If you can go to the dealers and you can see the dealer and you can see the fish, you can see all the documentation and you can see the reputability, I think that would be the safest way for you to go as a person that's going to be enjoying your pond forever. We all turn around and say, koi keeping is 98% stress. No, sorry, 95% stress, 5% enjoyment, and to an extent it is. But if you've got the foundation in the first place, is that stress going to be? Is the stress going to do that? If you know what I mean. But if you've got somebody that's got strong foundations, strong ability, strong accountability, strong traceability, could that give you that little bit more? Because the stuff that you can't control, the first 2 months of buying fish is probably the most important you're ever going to experience. But think of this as a different way. Think if you was going to go and buy a dog or a cat from a KC registered breeder or dealer, if you like. So think of it like that. You're going to pay £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 for a dog. Well, sometimes there'll be issues, but if you've paid by card, you've got the ability to be able to question that, and then the card company should, in theory, be able to help you as well. And I'll keep going back to the same thing accountability, traceability, trust. Those are the main things. So I've ranted on for quite a bit now. This is probably a really long video, and some people have really switched off now. And for that, I apologise. But I just wanted to get out there. There is a number now of skanky dealers. I'm going to call them skanky dealers that aren't doing what they should do, or what they're not meeting the expectations of you, the customer. And if this sounds like I'm bitching and whinging, then that's your choice. I mean, to be honest with you, like I said, I've got a decent pension. This is just an hobby to me. I just happen to sell fish. You know, it's not my livelihood. I'm not putting food on the table from a profit point of view. So, you know, I'm trying to be honest as I can. Again, apologies for this being a rant and stuff like that. People have asked the question. I have witnessed a number of things over the last couple of months. I have seen some really dodgy stuff that, you know, I can put on video. But obviously then I've got to get it checked by a legal team before I do it. That I can't really go into at the moment. I mean, some of the stuff I've been made aware of. Right, so I'll leave this video at that because it's gone on a bit long. So be good, be nice to your family. I'll see you soon.